Hi everyone and welcome to HibsTalk Extra Time, a new midweek episode of HibsTalk brought to you by myself, Craig and Liam. This week we were joined by Gav to discuss the Rangers game, take your questions, and we took a look ahead to the Motherwell game on Saturday. We were also introduced to McClendo's moan, and at the end of the show Liam also gave us an insight to the pie chart where he's going to give us his opinion on the pies from around the cinch. If you don't already do so, remember to follow us on social media. We are HibsTalk on Facebook, at HFC Talk on Twitter, and also make sure to subscribe to your favourite podcast player to get new episodes as they are uploaded. Gav will be back on Monday night to review the Motherwell game and also look ahead to the midweek fixture against Livingston. Thanks very much for listening and enjoy the show. So here we are, episode 1, HibsTalk Extra Time. I'm your partial host, Craig. Joining me is Liam, my co-host. How are we, Liam?
Absolutely fantastic, Craig.
Finally
So
badgered him
happy
enough.
to be here.
Get our own show.
Yep. Don't know how he's let us, but...
Well, he can maybe answer us because in a weird, quirky twist of fate, our first co-host / guest is none other than captain, leader, legend of HibsTalk, Mr. Gavin Wilson.
How you doing? I should probably moan about, coming to last, but I wouldn't be petty like that, would I?
It's great to have you here, Gav. How does it feel to be a guest on your own show?
I mean, to be not only to be a guest, to be a guest, really means a lot, but to be the inaugural guest, the first ever guest, is just, I think it's undeserved. I don't think I deserve to be the first guest. There's plenty of other candidates that could have been, but I'm very touched and very honoured to be here.
I think you told us that you were the first guest. You told us that you had to be the first guest. So
stop going behind the scenes and breaking. People don't
breaking
need to know that.
We're breaking the fourth wall.
We had to get you out the way early, Gav. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But yes, let's move swiftly on to a wee chat about the Rangers game, shall we?
The Rangers game, yes. So, as everyone already knows by now, played Rangers at Easter Road last night, falling 1-0 defeat thanks to a Kemar Roof penalty given away by Ryan Porteous. Firstly, though, on the lineups, so Liam, what was your initial thoughts on the team in terms of, because I suppose the only real option was Boyle back in, and it came at the expense of Gullen, who dropped out the team completely.
I thought it was pretty harsh for Gullen to be right out of the squad. I thought he deserved a place at least on the bench. I thought he played quite well in Perth, so it was a bit rubbish to see him right out the squad, because on the bench then we really had no central attacking threats apart from James Scott. He didn't even get on, and I don't think Gullen would have come on last night, but it would have been nice to have him in the team. But to be honest, see, if I was Jack Ross, I would have picked the exact same team last night. So no complaints from me personnel wise.
I think the team almost does pick itself just now, especially with the emergence of Campbell coming in, who we should also know.
Brilliant.
Yeah, signed a new 3-year contract. I don't think, not to get into too much detail about him just now, I don't think he's as creative as what we'd like in that area of the park, but he gives us a certain sort of level of energy.
Ken, what it is though, is a terrier. I said that to my dad last night because I seen him and he was getting right up in the Rangers players' faces, and that's what we like to see. And I don't recall him doing much of that in Perth, but then again, my view was not the best. But I thought he played well again in Perth. But he was a proper terrier last night, like getting stuck in, and you like to see that. He's no a Scott Allen. He's no going to be playing that wonderful World Cup pass through the middle, but Ken, what he puts in an absolute shift there.
I agree.
I did feel a bit sorry for Scott Allen and Jamie Murphy. The two of them come on, make an impact against St Johnstone. Murphy with a goal and an assist, and Scott Allen, played a part in the first goal. Then, like the second goal, Murphy put in, but it was all him. So I mean, I think they've had an impact, and then but I guess because it's Rangers, I do understand why Jack Ross went with the lineup he did, and he's kind of spoke about Josh Campbell there. I think it was probably the right lineup up until I'd say we'll get into it a bit more.
See, on that though, I was watching that game last night, and I didn't think that if we were going to score a goal, I didn't think it was coming through the middle of the park. I thought if we were going to score a goal, it was coming through the wings, because that's where we were having the most joy. I mean, Josh Doig was getting forward really well, but he wasn't really doing much with it when he got into those positions. And same with Cadden, I think his final ball was poor at times last night. Not all the time, but poor at times. So I think maybe we could have had Murphy on sooner, but I don't know if having Allen on sooner would have helped an awful lot, because he's no battler. He's not that kind of player in the middle of the park.
It's a weird one, because I think the system, it doesn't seem to me so much a 3-5-2, more this is like a football manager head being on, it's more a 5-2-1-2, with Campbell sitting sort of just in front of Jake Doyle-Hayes and Joe Newell. But I think the issue with the 3-5-2, 5-3-2, and the way it works is that it's almost imbalanced throughout the back five, because you've got Cadden, who's right wing back, you've got McGinn, who's a natural right back. So you've got two players there who offer that attacking intent. But when you go over to the left, you've got Doig playing left wing back, but Paul Hanlon's a centre half. If we had almost like a Doig that's used to playing left back, who could play almost like what we do with Scotland, with Robertson and Tierney, where they can sort of interchange with each other, like what we've seen a couple of times with Cadden and McGinn last night. I think that imbalance in the back five a wee bit doesn't help, and it doesn't allow you to bring on Murphy, Allen, if we're playing that 3-5-2, 5-3-2 kind of thing, because there's no natural place for them to fit in.
Hanlon does get forward, but he didn't last night. He did in Perth. But when he gets into that position, it's not like McGinn. McGinn has a little bit about him, can swing a ball into the box. But if you see Paul Hanlon setting up to fire across into the box, you're covering, ducking your head so ball doesn't hit you in the head. So
usually because he lines up for a shot instead.
Fucking hell, honestly.
He loves a shot for distance. But I mean, I think, it was a lot less yesterday. Hanlon has done that quite a few times in Perth. But I understand what you said. Like, when McGinn gets into those sort of positions, when he's on the 18-yard box, or he's, just outside to put up a cross, and you're like, all right, okay, McGinn's there. But if Hanlon's there, you think, oh, Christ, he's going to get a nosebleed. I do see what you're saying about the sort of a bit unbalanced in terms of the left and right centre backs.
I do think, though, that you're right about Allen and Murphy being unlucky. I think if it had been Motherwell last night and Rangers at the weekend, Allen or Murphy probably would have started, because of the impact that they had. I did, you look at the team and you think, right, okay, so that's probably the strongest team that we could pick at the moment. We're not going to get into the Scott Allen debate, whether he should play, whether he shouldn't play. I think with the personnel available, that's the strongest lineup. And then your heart goes when Paul Hanlon goes down. And you take a look at the bench. And obviously they've sent Nathan Wood back to Middlesbrough and nae Darren McGregor.
I was sitting in my seat. I sit in the west at the bit that the Hibs players go and warm up, and as soon as Hanlon goes down, I'm looking along at the players that are running, and I see Stevenson. I'm like, oh no. And then I look and I see Gogic, and I'm like, oh no. And I was like, oh, it couldn't get any worse, eh? And then no, I don't think anyone else came across. Maybe James Scott came across. I was like, oh well, he's not going to go in at the centre half, is he? But thankfully, it didn't have to come off.
Louis done that left centre back thing. I remember he done it once at Ibrox, but yeah, it's not an ideal position.
Was
for
that
him.
when Sean Mackey got sent off? He did oh no, that was the one.
No,
where
that
won,
was
wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the Jamie McLaren
game
when
we beat them with our reserves at Ibrox.
Aye.
Brilliant.
Aye. So I mean, in terms of the game, I don't think there's really that many talking points when you look at the first half. I mean, I'm not going to talk about Rangers too much, other than to say that I think that they are poorer after Gerrard than what they were under Gerrard. They seemed to be playing a completely different system last night, and I think it stifled them almost because it allowed. I didn't feel too much in danger when Rangers were at the edge of the box. I know they had Kent had a shot that was deflected narrowly wide. Hadji got into space a wee bit, but compared to the times we've played Rangers before, I didn't feel like they were getting too much time on the ball in terms of forcing it attacking wise. I thought we kept our shape pretty solid and almost resorted them to having to go sideways and back and working it all the way back to McGregor.
It was a similar performance. Sorry, Gav. It's a similar performance to how we played in the semi-final, where we kept them at bay and we kept our shots on target at least to a minimum, and then the other shots that they had, they were taken from range. But they should have been 1-0 up in the first half when Morelos had the free header. When Cadden ball watching and Boyle is stuck between Aribo at the back post and Morelos in front of him, decides to go back to Aribo or just stays where he is. I can't really remember. Ball comes across and Morelos, he's about 6 yards out and he puts it wide. It was a shocking miss, really.
Well, I was just going to say about the Morelos chance, but the thing is from that, Craig, you mentioned Hibs shape and things like that. That was a counter-attack from Hibs corner. Hibs had the ball up for a corner and then they were rushing to get back, and that's when they lost their shape, and that's when you had Cadden in the middle and Boyle there. And there maybe should have been better at getting organising it back after the corner, but that was getting hit in the counter-attack. I think, a bit of leeway to Hibs on that. Other than that, they kept their shape and they kept Rangers' chances to a minimum. So I think that's got to be applauded.
I think sometimes as well, they were given a little bit of space in the middle, a little bit of space and time in the middle of the park. I would have liked to have seen us close them down better, but I think once you start pressing them in the middle of the park, that's when they've got really good players that can pass the ball. Then that's when like Kamara and Aribo start to pass it around you, and that's how we got sliced open against Celtic. So you didn't really want to have that. So I thought the way that we approached the game was good, and I thought we could have probably nicked it as well.
Well, I was listening to something the other day, and I can't remember what it was, but they were talking about Man United, and I know it's different levels, right? But they're talking about Man United, how they're trying to implement this kind of press, and they're, you had them, supporters and whatnot angry that they didn't press against Liverpool and they didn't press against Man City, and I think it's similar to Hibs last night. If we press them and press them heavy, they've got players like Kent, Hadji, Aribo, especially Kamara, who can just pop it. They're comfortable taking the ball in tight spaces and can just pop it around. And it's the same, I think you allow them space to an extent, give them, this football terminology that's came in, but let them have the ball to a space in the park and then implement effectively a low block.
Yeah. Where
the team, the 5 and then the 3 move as one. And it's very hard for them to break down, rather than going and charging all over the park. 1, you're wasting energy, and 2, you are leaving yourself open. You can go and press, for example, we can go and press Motherwell at home because they don't knock the ball about as good as Rangers do, or as good as Rangers could do if given that opportunity. So I think the game plan worked, and it worked well.
Aye, I agree. Yeah. I think as well, with a low block, it's not as eye bleeding to watch as like a park the bus. And I ken that there's similar tactics, but with a low block, at least we were getting out and we were breaking quickly. It was. There was a lot of people who said they didn't enjoy the first half and said it was rubbish and everything else, but I really enjoyed the first half. I thought the first half was good. And even though chances were few and far between, I think we had 1 shot on target in the first half, Boyle. But I enjoyed it as a first half. I thought it had a good bit of needle in it. It was a good, fierce, nasty, venomous game, and I enjoyed it. And Hibs played and they executed a game plan perfectly, really.
I think I have to say, in terms of like another way we were kind of, I guess, defending, but in a sort of attacking way, that old cliche. Which I'll never repeat, but like the Tavernier and Berisic are attacking outlets for Rangers, and they were kept further back. I'm sure if you got their heat markers, they would be much further back than they usually are, and that's because of Cadden and Doig getting forward a lot throughout the whole game, not just the first half. And I think that was, they've got to be applauded the Hibs tactics there, because that was effective in, giving us an outlet in terms of an attacking sense. Although, like we said earlier, the Cadden's crosses didn't really come much, same with Doig's, but it did keep the fullbacks pressed back. Who are a really good threat. I mean, what was it, 20 or 17 assists or something Tav got last season? So yeah, so like we kept those attacking options from them quiet, which was I have to say Hibs done well with.
That must be so pleasing for Jack Ross as well, though. Looking at them throughout the start of the season, I know it's not been the best start of the season for either Celtic or Rangers, but when everyone knows how good Tav is going forward, and to be able to keep him quiet like that, I mean, I can't really recall many times where he got over the halfway line and looked dangerous. At times, he just looked like a Paul McGinn in a Rangers shirt, you know what I mean, playing it right back. So it was really good, and I think Jack Ross will probably be really pleased with the way that we dealt with them, because there are threats for fullback, and it was good that we managed to keep them all at bay, really.
Aye, keep them all at bay until 83rd, 84th minute, when I think it's such a shame, because he's getting pulled from pillar to post about it. But I thought until that moment, Porteous had been outstanding last night.
For me,
he didn't play the occasion; he'd played the game, as that other old cliche goes. And a lot of folk blaming him for the penalty, but for me, he pulls out. I think it is a penalty. It errs on the side of he gives the referee a decision to make by leaving his leg in, and does try to pull it out. But I don't think it should be ignored that Kent gets past not only Cadden, but also McGinn.
Yeah.
So there's two phases of play where that attack should have been halted, and it wasn't.
As soon as he gets past Cadden, McGinn really needs to clatter him. Give away the free kick, take the yellow card, because Kent's that kind of player that if he jinxes himself inside, and he's done it so many times over the course of the time he's been at Rangers, he jinks inside and he just sticks that ball in the postage stamp in the far corner. You know what I mean? So if he doesn't go inside and win the penalty, there's a high chance that he'll either, one, get a shot on target that will go in, or Macy will parry it and someone will get the rebound, or they'll get a corner and score for that. So you can't really take the chance with him. You need to clatter him early doors.
Don't get me wrong, I'm sure if he did get the space, he would have been like, all right, okay, and taken the shot and done whatever with it. But I genuinely think he got into that box, he seen the defenders around him and thought, right, I'm getting a penalty. I think that was his game plan when he was like, right, how can I drag them in for a foul and knock it around them and get a penalty? And that was and it worked. It
is a penalty though. It is a penalty. And although Porteous tries to take his leg away, that you can see in the reverse angle that he clips his foot. So I mean, it's a penalty. Soft, maybe. Does Kent make the most of it? Probably, yeah. But it's nothing that Martin Boyle doesn't do any time that he wins a penalty. I mean, we've seen them go for us loads of times over this season and last season. So it's nothing that we can really moan about. It's a shame that it was Porteous that gave it away, because he was outstanding, really, up until that point. And even after that point, he was still brilliant. That blocking header that he made, because that was going in. I don't know who had the shot, but it came right off him, and he'll have a series this morning, because that was not a soft hit. That was absolutely leathered straight into his face, I think. But
I think when it comes to the penalty, right, I think the reaction to the players is telling. If Kent had dived, Porteous, McGinn, Hanlon, Cadden, they would have went to Kent and they would have surrounded him and berated him, but they didn't. They went to the referee. That's where it tells me that it's not the incorrect decision. Yeah. Because they didn't go for the player. They went for the official. I mean, obviously, Roof sticks it in 1-0, and it was going to be a goal like that, I think, either way.
That's what I said, aye. If they were going to score, it was going to have to be a penalty or something dodgy.
Yeah, I mean we've played a lot worse against Rangers in the past and been given a doing. I think the semi-final win a couple of weeks ago softens the blow of last night a bit. I don't really want to discuss the actions of the Rangers fans because it's almost, chucking stones when you're in glass houses. I know I've put a tweet out last night that's been quite widely replied to, shared around the conduct of the laddies in Block 7, who are the new sort of singing section replacing the since 1875 guys. And I thought for most of it, they tried to keep an atmosphere going, especially at the start of the game, the Merry Christmas song, You're No Rangers Anymore, the typical, the classics. And then it got to the point where we've all heard the sort of Rangers fans singing the Waka Waka song, but using Fashion Sakala's name in it. And it seems to be getting picked up by other clubs elsewhere. And the Block 7 boys last night decided to change Fashion Sakala to Martin Boyle initially. And he comes from Zambia to he loves the IRA. Now, this is just my own opinion. I understand Hibs' links to the past in terms of where we've came from, our heritage, our history. That should always be celebrated. Our name's Hibernian, after all, which is, if I'm not wrong, a Roman name for Ireland. And obviously all the links with James Connolly and things like that. So I understand that. And I think our culture, our history should be celebrated more by the club. But going down the route of singing about the IRA and the Irish Republican, as Beautiful Sunday was played before the game as well.
Yeah, I didn't understand what that was all about.
It's just not for me. I have not been brought up going to Hibs games, hearing songs about that. That's been left to other clubs to sing about. It's not something that I want. I had Alfie asking me all night, Dad, what's the IRA?
Yeah.
Why are they singing about the IRA? And I don't want to have to explain to my son, who's 11, why they're singing that and what are they singing about, because I don't even think the laddies themselves understand what they're singing about. And I've actually had the Block 7 Twitter reply to my tweet and say it wasn't one of us, and I'm not one for being a grass and I'm not one for calling people out, but it was the guy with the megaphone that was doing it. Well, and if he's not a member of Block 7, I don't know what he is, if he's standing there in the section with a megaphone.
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, at the time, I heard that they were singing the Waka Waka one, and I thought that they were singing about the IRA, and then I was like, it can't be that. No way. But now looking back on it, and after you said that, I'm now realising that they were singing about the IRA, and to be honest, mate, I'm not going to lie, but it's nothing short of an absolute disgrace. The IRA's got absolutely nothing to do with Hibs. The IRA's got nothing to do with Celtic. The IRA's got nothing to do with Scottish football. It's a terrorist organisation. I mean, and the fact that these wee laddies are singing about it is nothing short of disgusting. And I didn't want to waste too much time moaning about it, because I feel the more that we give that a platform, they might be like, oh, we'll just do it again, wind them up. But I mean, it's got absolutely no place at Easter Road, no place in football at all. So I think I seen your tweet and I seen quite a lot of people agreeing with you, and I did see that Block 7 reply. But yeah,
I would say the vast majority of people have agreed and said that that was eradicated back in the 70s and the 80s, and that's the way that it should remain. There has been a couple who said leave them alone, they're trying to create an atmosphere.
Yeah, but I don't get that.
If they were singing racist songs, if they were singing homophobic songs, anti-Semite songs, you wouldn't tell them to stop it. You wouldn't say leave them alone.
Yeah.
So I think this particular element needs to be spoken out about, especially if these, don't get me wrong, these laddies, they done a display before the game. They're trying to bring an atmosphere again. I'm all for that, right? 100% all for that. If they wanted to build a relationship with the club, they cannot be doing what they done last night.
No.
I think it was a bad night for Block 7 overall. Like, their display has got a bit of criticism online. I know the laddies put a lot of hard work into it. They were saying, I seen one of them saying about the fact that they were there for like 13 hours one day during the week helping set up and stuff. And they don't have a lot of numbers. And they were saying, well, if they want things to be, you know, if they want more people to get involved and help them out, they can't be doing things like this because it's just going to push people away from them.
Yeah,
I know in the past, since he did 1875 started to have a bit of a relationship with Hibs. I was at a working together meeting where a couple of them were there, and obviously they've now sort of disbanded and stuff. But like, you know, the club aren't going to have anything to do with that with these guys if they're singing stuff like that. If they have to find out who's been singing it, get rid of them, and then, you know, they're saying about, oh, we want more numbers, we want more support, we want to create a better atmosphere. Well, you're not going to have people engaging with you, and it's just going to divide the support doing nonsense like that.
Exactly. Last bit on this though, I'm all for the young team making a bit of noise and try to get a bit of atmosphere. I thought what they did at the Cup semi-final was brilliant. I was sitting behind them at Perth last week, and they were making noise for the whole game. The drum banging all game, it was brilliant. But no, that's just bang out the order. You can't be singing about that, regardless of who you're playing. Some will justify, oh, we're playing Rangers, so that's the only reason why we were singing it. But you know, that's not a justification for singing that sort of stuff. But I think that's all we should really talk about on that.
Also, I've also been, I'm not going to name the individual, but I've been contacted by someone who was in the vicinity regarding the flare when that got thrown on. I seen kind of what happened. It was let off by a wee laddie who almost got frightened at what happened. All the guys were turning up to F off and all that, and a guy came out and just picked it up and lobbed it. Subsequently, I've been contacted by someone who was there because I put it on Hibs.net as well. And he said that it was only thrown because it was set off right beside two people who are severely asthmatic.
Yeah.
So
I thought it would have been weird for Hibs fans to throw a flare on the park at that
especially
time.
Especially when we're in the ascendancy.
In the ascendancy, aye.
But at the same time, that section of let's be balanced here. That section of the East does have a history. You know, the Sinclair incident at Celtic. You know, that when big games, evening games, that's happened before. We kind of, you know, I'm not saying I doubt with this situation, but at the same time, there has been issues with fans before with Hibs. We're no perfect, and that's
exactly. But come on, support your team, make a bit of noise. Didn't sing about the area and didn't chuck flares on the pitch. Simple.
Exactly. Well, I think now that we've got you nice and warmed up, Liam, it's nice to move on to a new segment that we're going to bring to the HibsTalk Extra Time, which is McClendall's Moan. So the premise of this is that every week Liam will get around about 120 seconds to rant about something that's annoyed him in Scottish football this week. And this can be anything. It can be Hibs related, non-Hibs related, but you can be well warned that no one will be spared any of Liam's barrels. So McClendall's Moan, the first ever McClendall's Moan. What are we going for?
I think 120 seconds might be a bit long, but today, what has annoyed me this week has been... So we all heard the Rangers chant last night to ABBA's Super Trooper. And to be honest, I was bobbing along because it was actually quite catchy. Don't tell anyone that.
It's a great song. ABBA, brilliant.
What I've seen in the aftermath of this, and I'm going to now start. This is the rant. What I've seen in the aftermath of the Rangers fans taking a great song and making a good chant is when other teams jump on it, change one word to their player, and then it's their song. That, oh my lord. Because they're going, oh, Hadji and Tavernier and all that. And I've seen Dundee fans going on about Lee Griffiths and Jason Cummins and that. I'm like, aye, but you've just taken the exact same blueprint for the Rangers fans, changed the players, changed the team name, and you're passing it off as your own. Oh, it winds me up to the highest degree. And Hibs fans, I bet you Hibs fans will start singing something like that, which will annoy me. The Rangers fans were singing that again last night. Know that's a Hibs song.
Oh no, that's Gio. They were singing Gio.
Let me have my rant, please, Craig.
Yep.
The other one, the Waka Waka one. Why the Hibs take that? That's Leicester City's song for Pats and Daka. doesn't even make sense with Fashion Sakala because they don't even say Fashion Sakala, they say Fashion Junior. Martin Boyle doesn't rhyme with Waka Waka, does it? It's not very South African. But you get my drift. Teams taking other fans' chance, changing one or two words and passing it off as their own. Nah, no for me.
To be fair on that, we done that with Hecky's at the Wheel.
Yeah,
and
we did.
Dimitri Payet, we've got John McGinn.
But who sings
that was
the
I think
Payet one? We started the John McGinn one.
Payet, the West Ham done it first.
No, I think Spurs done it
was the
first.
link better than Zidane because he's French.
No, I think
makes sense.
No, I think it was Dele Alli with Spurs.
We've got Ali.
He only cost 5 mil. He's better than Ozil.
Right.
Well,
okay.
anyway,
The Hecky's at the Wheel. Hecky's at the Wheel was an absolute bottery tune, and I will not hear a bad word against it.
To be fair, there is exceptions, and that's when Hibs take it. No, I'm kidding. It's when teams take them, but they're not sung by everyone. That Waka Waka one will be sung by everyone, and that Super Trooper one will be sung by everyone as well. There's no one else in Scottish football that sings the "We've Got McGinn" because no one else had McGinn, and there was no one else in Scottish football that was singing "Hecky's at the Wheel" or anyone else is at the wheel. So,
but at the very I understand Man United done that because it's the Stone Roses, Manchester fans, Manchester United fans. That's why, that's why they adopted that song to one of their own Ollie. But anyway, I got so many episode titles out of Hecky's at the Wheel, Hecky doing a U-turn, silly thumbnails of Hecky in a car. So I'm not going to moan about the song. I loved having it and I loved singing it. So
to be fair, Gav, if you ever disagree with one of my rants again, you're not coming back on the
that's fair.
HibsTalk extra time. I'm sorry, mate.
I'll just change the passwords to the.
It's all right. We know how to do it now. We can just create a new one. So, Liam, I believe that you canvassed some questions earlier on the old Twitter and social media. So
Twitter and Facebook. I did get some messages from Twitter.
I like that. Yeah, subtle dig. Nice. I like that.
Twitter. Yeah, so
just in case anybody's not aware, that's a play on my. I'm trying to do an intro for the show, and I sent it across to Liam to sort of sample it and put it all together. And I said Twitter instead of
Twitter.
Yeah.
He said you can find us at HFC Talk on Twitter and Facebook. Oh, some boy, man. Right, okay, so we'll just jump in at the deep end with one of our very own, Joe the Falconer. And he asks, one of our better problems at the moment is the fact that we'll have a massive battle for spaces in midfield. With Tate coming in, McGuinness coming back from injury, and Campbell taking his chances. Who would be your ideal midfield three for the derby in January?
I think it'd be the two that played Doyle Hayes and Newell, and then McGuinness if he's fit instead of Campbell. Campbell's been great, but I think McGuinness is a bit more all-rounder. I love Scott Allen. I think Scott Allen would be effective in some games, but for the derby, then McGuinness.
Yeah, I'm going to be very boring, and I agree. I think
that's a unanimous decision from all three of us because McGuinness is a top player, but it's just a shame he's made of glass.
Excited by the likes of Tate and stuff, but I'm not seeing enough of him to expect him to demand a place in the Hibs team.
To be honest, Gav, I didn't even know who he was before we signed him. I'd never heard of him. Next question comes from Billy. Who should be our top targets for the January window? And if you don't have anyone in mind, what areas of the pitch should we be looking to improve?
Well, we've got is it the Money Badger?
Yes.
Hashtag be the best. Him. Hashtag be the best, Mr. Mueller. He's in the United Kingdom right now.
He's in London.
He's in London.
He's nearly here.
He's in London.
All the kids getting excited about Santa. We're excited about Chris Mueller coming.
He's so nearly here. I cannot wait to see him in a Hibs top. I cannot wait.
What? Let's take a guess. What's his number going to be?
I don't know, but look at this. I know for the people on the podcast who are listening, you can't see this. But have a look at this. Mueller, United States top. I love it.
Very nice.
I love it. He might be absolutely
put a
gammon.
photo of it on underneath the post for this on Twitter.
Well, for the benefit of people who aren't seeing our lovely Zoom conversation at the moment, which is everyone apart from us three, I'll put a picture of that on the Twitter.
Have we got a number 17?
That was Tom James, was it not?
That was
Tom
James.
No. It's Daniel
think so.
Mackay. Daniel
Mackay. Daniel Mackay.
I like 17 for a winger.
Yeah, reminds me of
23?
Sproul.
You know, the whole Beckham thing.
Sproul.
Beckham was in America.
Scott Allen's
Stadium
23.
would have got 23.
Scott Allen.
Scott Allen's 23. Of course he is. I apologise.
Got number 20?
Halberg.
Yeah, Halberg.
Oh, get him out the door.
But no, so on that, I think in terms of areas that we should be looking at, I think Jack Ross said the other day that players will go in January, which I think is needed. I think we need to trim the squad down to a level. I think players like Dre Wright's time at Easter Road's up. Halberg, I think his time's up as well. So I'd probably be looking for a player in each area, to be honest. An additional centre half, an additional midfielder, possibly an additional sort of wing back to allow us to do what I said earlier on, with like replicate on the right what we could have, replicate on the left what we've got on the right. And I just think an extra body up front, because I think last night squad has shown that Jamie Gullen's time at Easter Road's up as well, unfortunately for him.
Which I shame, because I thought he played well in Perth.
We're definitely crying out for a centre back. I mean, you guys said that earlier on with the fact that when a Hanlon went down and we had no one to come on. But I mean, I've not been in, every time I've seen him this season, I've watched a few games like when they played the Old Firm and stuff. That Jamie McCart's not having the same sort of season he did last season. And every time I've seen him up against Hibs, I'm like, is that the boy that we were, we've ended up with no one because we're too busy chasing him and waiting for St Johnstone to go to Europe? And obviously that's just rumours and stuff.
Well, he got sent off.
He's know the answer.
Didn't
he? Yeah.
Got sent off against us at Easter Road.
Aye.
So nice one there, lads. I'd be happy with Stuart Finlay in at centre half.
Philadelphia Union's centre back.
Yes, raid the MLS, Mr. Gordon. Go to the MLS and take all their best players and bring back all the hot dogs. Next question. A lot of these are about the midfield. Jamie Boyd, though, from Twitter asks, who should be our new manager?
Jack Ross.
I didn't even know that we'd sacked Jack Ross. So
I am going to say, and this is based on no insider knowledge whatsoever, that it will take something seriously bad for Jack Ross to be relieved of his duties. From what I've heard in terms of what's going on out at HTC especially, he's not going anywhere anytime soon.
And I'm quite happy with that. I like Jack Ross. Mm-hmm. But Stephen Obertelli has replied to Jamie on Twitter and says that Stephen Presley should be our new manager. Which, to be honest, Stephen, if you're listening, I don't think that'll happen in the very near future. And that is about it for the questions. Also, Ryan Doran on Facebook. What did you think of the fourth official's decision making last night? And I'm not really too sure what he means by that.
Actually, we've not really spoken about the referee, have we? I don't think there's much. I mean, let's sum up John Beaton in one, right? 93rd minute, Calvin Bassey leathers the ball out of play and Rangers get a throw in.
Yeah, to be fair, that one was because McGinn tried to gain a few yards when he shouldn't have. He went further forward than when the ball went out of play, and then he took the throw in. He didn't even get the chance to stop and get moved back.
But see, if
then
you
look, then because you've taken advantage, then the throwing goes to the other team.
Usually
you get told to get back. The decision never gets made that clear.
So yeah, maybe on the referee, maybe should have told them sooner.
When he picked up the ball, he was like 20, 25 yards ahead of where the ball was when it went out. But that's because that's where he got chucked the ball from for the ball boy.
Beaton signalled for it to be a Rangers throw. He actually put his arm out for it to go in the opposite direction as soon as the ball went out.
The boy's an absolute. I didn't know that. But he was trying to get the game finished as quick as he could because he had a pint poured in the Loudenank.
There's the fact as well that he the fact that when Porteous and the Rangers player in the Rangers box both went down with a head collision, it's a Rangers free kick and he runs over to check on the Rangers player. No interest in the fact that the ball had a head knock as well.
It is a joke. Moving swiftly on though, Craig. Did you have anything else?
No, it's fine, mate.
Moving swiftly on to the Motherwell game. It's a new week of the cinch on Saturday, Gav. Are you excited? Are you confident?
I mean, Motherwell are really starting to pick up form, so no.
Well, funny you should say that, because right here I've got the last 5 results along with scorers. So, do you want to know the last 5 results, Gavin?
Yes, I would.
So, on Tuesday they played United at home and beat them with a 0-0. Did you see Tony Watt's goal? It was a zinger.
It was actually a pretty decent finish.
Zinger. And I had here in my notes, because I did it on Tuesday before the game. I went, Tony Watt's our top scorer, but he's no scored in the last 5. And then he scored. So hopefully that takes away any chance that he's going to score against Hibs. So Tony Watt's now got 9 goals in 21 games, which I think is a half decent return for Tony Watt. I think he's been a good player for Motherwell since he came in a couple of seasons ago. But they won 1-0 against United at Fir Park. The boy Maguire, who plays at holding midfield, got sent off, so he'll be suspended for Saturday, and it was 2 yellows, so it's not even like they can lodge an appeal to get him to play, and then they can hear the appeal afterwards. So I'm not too sure even who he is, if he's any, bar the fact that he's any good. Before that, they got pumped at Dundee, 3-0. And then before that, they beat Hearts 2-0 at home. Shields and Lammy, the scorers. And then they beat Aberdeen before that, 2-0 with Van Veen. He got 2. And then the game before that, they got beat 6-1 at home to Rangers. So if we can take anything from that, they got beat 6-1 at home to Rangers. We've only got beat 1-0. So we are, 5 goals better than them at the very least. So I'll be expecting 5-0 Hibs.
It's a very mixed bag, isn't it? Like,
it is, yeah. They've been up and down.
Yeah. I think typically Motherwell at home for us is usually a good. I think Jack Ross's first game as Hibs manager at Easter Road was against them. We won 3-0.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember us giving Motherwell a good few doings over the years. So, no, I think if we can play anywhere like we played last night, but offer a bit more sort of conviction in the final third, be very confident in us getting a win on Saturday.
Yeah. Well, they're sitting 5th at the moment, but their form isn't mid-table form really. It's like lower mid-table form. So, and even if we beat them on Saturday, it doesn't mean that we go up any places. But we've still got a couple of games in hand.
Yeah, there's 6 points ahead of us just now. We've got 2 games in hand.
Yeah, so hopefully we can claw back some of those points without having to waste one of our games in hand, which is good. I had a wee look at their scorers and their assisters, and like I said, Tony Watt 9 and 21 compared to Martin Boyle's 11 and 16. So, we're projected for a lot more goals from Boyle than Tony Watt. And another man to look out for is Sean Goss. He's got 4 assists in 8 league games so far this season. So
he was tidy enough when he was at Rangers a few years ago.
Yeah, scored against us. I'm sure he scored a free kick, didn't he?
Yeah, he wasn't like he wasn't pulling up trees, but he was decent enough.
I'm sure he went back down south, didn't he? And now he's back up at Motherwell, so he's providing some assists this season, and he's got the same amount of assists as Scott Allen in 3 fewer games.
Yeah.
It's just hard to tell which Motherwell are going to turn up, because like you spoke about the form earlier. Like I remember earlier in the season, they won, like I think it was like they went 5 games and it was 4 wins and a draw at Ibrox, and it's like right, okay, and then like they're like okay, they're really an informed team, and then they lost 3 on the trot, and then they start to the week Aberdeen at Pittodrie, and then they lose 3-0 to Dundee, and it's like it's hard to tell which Motherwell's going to turn up. Hopefully, it's the one that gets beats for Dundee.
Well, they beat Dons at Pittodrie, and then they beat Hearts at home. And I mean, Hearts, up until then, I think that was that the first game that they'd lost in the season? Hearts were playing quite well this season.
League-wise, I don't think.
Yeah, league-wise, aye.
So, they lost to Aberdeen up at Pittodrie.
Yeah, they got beat off Aberdeen.
Yeah. So I don't think that. I think that was only a couple of weeks later, but still, Hearts were probably the form team in the Premiership at the time. So that's a big result for them. And then they got spanked 3-0 away to Dundee, who I think they won again last night 3-0. So, just as well we're not playing Dundee on Saturday.
They seem to be picking themselves up as well.
Yeah, I do think though, if whenever we play Motherwell, it's a good barometer as to how good this Hibs team are, because Motherwell they're a decent side. They've not got superstar players, far from it, but they're a good, well-oiled machine. And I think it's, pardon the pun, a well-oiled machine. But I think they're a good side.
I think the way Hibs set up against Rangers worked for Rangers, but I have to say, I mean, if it's the same lineup, I'll not moan, but I will be a bit more apprehensive, because I think we do need to, take the game to Motherwell a bit more. Whether that means, I don't know, Jamie Murphy's played in behind the two strikers before, but obviously that means you've got a bit less in midfield because he's not going to do the sort of work Josh Campbell does, or whether you play somebody like Scott Allen and try and get through balls to Boyle and Nisbet to run onto. Obviously, Doidge potentially back as well after his suspension, so there's options. But I mean, I'd like to see a bit more attacking threat for the team, and maybe that starting lineup can do it, and try and sort of dominate the midfield with Campbell, Newland, Jake Doyle-Hayes. But I don't know. To me, Scott Allen should be starting in that sort of game.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, thinking as well, the fact that we're at Easter Road, we should be looking to get a couple of goals, 2, maybe 3 goals. So I think Motherwell is a team more susceptible to being cut open by a Scott Allen through ball than Rangers. So I think this is more of a game for Scott Allen, and I'd be happy to see him start. I wouldn't be overly happy to see Josh Campbell drop out at the starting 11, because I don't think he deserves to come out. But I think for the benefit of the team, to have Scott Allen playing in there just behind the strikers, I wouldn't change Nisbet and Boyle. I would keep Doidge on the bench, and I think if we need him, bring him on. But I would definitely have Scott Allen in the 10 behind Nizzy and Boyle.
Let's not forget as well, we've got a lot of games coming up.
Yeah.
This is the start of December. We're playing Wednesday weekend, all the way up until the winter break. So, no, I think squad rotation is key. I think we're now getting the bodies in there where we can afford a bit of rotation. I think with Doidge being available again, and like I say, with it being Motherwell, I think we'll go back to 4 at the back. You might see almost like a 4-2-3-1 where Boyle, Allen and Murphy behind Nisbet up front, but I guess it just remains to be seen. Let's get predictions in then. Gav, I'll come to you first. Predictions, scorers for Saturday.
I'm going to go 2-2.
Desmond 2-2.
Oh.
Aye.
Scorers?
Nisbet. Let's go with it. I'll tell you what, Nisbet both goals. Back on form.
Fair play.
Liam?
I'm going to go for Hibernian 2, Motherwell 0. I'm going to back us to keep a clean sheet. I think if we defend the way that we did last night against Motherwell, we'll be fine. Touch wood. But yeah, I'll go with Nizzy and Boyle, because Boyle's due a goal. He's not scored since the semi-final. I don't. Well, he's only played once.
Played one game.
So 2 games. He played against Wales. He never scored there. So he's due a goal. This will be his 3rd game since semi. So I'd like to see him score. So I'm going to go 2-0.
I'll go 3-1. I think they will get a goal, as we've seen at Fir Park when we played them already. When you let them into dangerous areas, especially getting balls into the box, and we know that we are, the best team in the league at defending cross balls at the moment. So I think we're susceptible to losing a goal for there. But I think it's time for Nisbet, get himself a couple of goals, and I'll go with Joe Newell for one of them as well.
Well,
he needs to be getting more shots away. He had a couple of opportunities last night.
Yeah, he did open up a little bit,
and he didn't take them. He decided to try and dink the ball into the box. So
yeah, there was the one where he got to the byline and he's on the right hand side of the pitch, and he's on his left foot. So you think just hit it with your left foot, and instead he hits it quick across goal and hoping that somebody taps it in. It's like, you should be hitting that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at the goal he scored against Dundee United, and it was an absolute zinger. Whether he meant to cross that, I don't know, but It was a good goal, and surely, and I think even Jack Ross after that game says, "Oh, Joe Newell needs to be scoring more goals." So I'd love to see him getting a couple of goals. I think he only scored one last season, and he's got one this season. So I Ken what? I'm going to change from Nisbet and Boyle to Newell and Boyle because I'd quite like to see Newell score.
It's nice for you to have your own ideas, mate. Cheers for that.
It is nice for me to have my own ideas, but it's even better when I mooch off yours.
Exactly. Well, lads, I think that's all about all we've got time for.
Well, we don't. We need to talk about pies.
Oh, sorry. Yep, we've got Liam's
Let's
pie
talk
chart.
about pies, baby. Let's talk about steak and gravy. Yes, that wasn't even rehearsed.
Nope.
That was off the cuff. Right, listeners, maybe you can help me out with this because I'd like to get your opinions on the pies around the cinch. So I'm going to start with St Johnstone because I never had a pie last night, and I think it would be unfair to rate.
Can I have guest spot on the pie chart? Because I did have a pie last night.
You can guess spot on the pie chart, but it's not going to count towards the end of the season pie table.
All right, okay.
I mean, I can take your opinion on board, but I'm the Scran King, and everyone knows that.
Scran Prince. But...
I mean, if you say so. But yeah, I'm going to start with McDermott Park because I've got a lot to say about this pie. And St Johnstone, a mediocre team in a terrible stadium. The catering equally. I was up on Saturday, just there, and I got a steak and haggis pie because the ones that they do at Easter Road are delicious. I love them, and I got the pie in my hands. I think it cost about £3. Lukewarm. That's already
Bad
a red flag. Lukewarm, and then I went to go and pick it up, and it all broke because the pastry was soggy. Oh, nothing worse than a soggy pie, eh?
How was it presented to you? Was it presented in a foil tray? Was it in a plastic
foil
bag?
Tray? A classic foil tray. And it was soggy, but at the same time, it was sticking to the foil tray. So you tried to pick it out, and the top layer was getting separated from the bottom layer. And it was a complete mess. And I only got one napkin with it, which was a disgrace. An absolute disgrace.
Saved the planet and stuff, though, eh?
Yeah, the filling, the steak inside was all right. It was nicely cooked in a nice gravy, but there was so much gravy and so much peppercorn sauce that, I think that's why the pastry was so soggy. There was too much liquid, not enough meat. So I'm sorry, St Johnstone, but you are the first on the pie table, last on the pie table, but equally top of the league as well with a 5.5 out of 10.
5.5, that's not great, is it?
Not great. Above average because it was steak and haggis, and steak and haggis is good. But marked down for the rest of it.
I think steak, haggis and peppercorn sauce is just too many cooks trying to spoil the broth.
And gravy.
Yeah, that's...
And it was like this little weird
pie as well.
savoury smoothie. It was a bit minging. 5.5. I'm sure I've definitely had worse in my time, but I've had so much better. And we'll just find out. We'll find out over the weeks.
You're the pie expert, Liam. I wanted to get your. I know Thanksgiving was last week or whatever. This would have worked better last week. What have you had? Pecan pie. What's your thoughts on pecan pie?
I don't know what
it's more sort of sweet rather than savoury, but
you had one of these, didn't you, Gav?
I don't know what a pecan is.
Gav, did you not have one of it? It's like nuts, is it not?
Is it not a bird? A pecan.
Might be. It's a nut. I can tell you, it's a nut.
That's a nut.
It's brilliant. I'll have to try and get you pecan pie, and you can review that as well.
Yeah, maybe I will. But no, I'm a savoury pie man. I'm not too keen on apple pies or anything like that. Cooked apples do like an apple pie.
Nah.
But yeah, that's it. 5.5, McDermott Park. Do better, please. That's a joke. It's a disgrace. Yeah, basically. So I'm happy.
I'd give the Easter Road pie, the steak and gravy Hibs pie last night, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. And I'll tell you for why. Because they don't serve it in the foil trays anymore, so it doesn't get stuck.
Yeah, that's true.
You get it in the wee
I do like it in the match. I do like it in the plastic bags.
But I will give them a plus point that it wasn't scalding hot.
Yeah.
But I will take away that bonus point.
Oh.
Because it wasn't hot enough.
Lukewarm.
It was like the steak
Like
bake that's been
McDermott.
lying for a while.
Probably has been lying for a while. Probably been lying since fucking last week.
Yeah.
We weren't even at home last week.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Well, St Johnstone fans, if you're listening, tell your catering department to up their game because Liam is not happy.
Not happy.
It's on top of the league, mate.
If you could see, I would have a scowl. I have a scowl on my face. Not happy.
Right.
I expect better.
Well, I think the Pie King rounding off with his 5.5 with St Johnstone is a good way to go. Myself and Liam will be back next Thursday to talk about the Motherwell game and the midweek game, which is against Liam.
It's against Livingston.
Livingston, exactly.
Where I will be reviewing not a steak pie, not a haggis pie, but from the Tony Macaroni Arena, a Tony Macaroni pie.
Bellissimo.
Yes.
So yeah, me and Liam will be back next Thursday to discuss that, to discuss Liam's macaroni pie review.
Wonderful stuff.
And also to get any questions that you guys have got. So episode 1 done and dusted. Gav, you can away and do what we do, go and relax while we stress out about getting everything edited and uploaded and all that nonsense.
Thanks very much for coming on, Gav. You've been a very average guest.
Yeah.
And whilst I'm here, I'll plug, the usual podcast. The usual podcast up on a Monday. We'll be reviewing the Motherwell game and looking ahead to Livingston, which you guys will then review.
Why will we review the Motherwell game? I've just ruined that. We will not be reviewing the Motherwell game.
No,
we
will
be reviewing Livingston and then previewing the
St Mirren.
St Mirren. Yes, we'll be doing the Wednesday cinch and then the preview of the Saturday cinch. We don't review the Saturday cinch.
We don't.
That's my job.
That's Gav's job. Yeah.
Although, I might review the Easter Road Pie.
But this will all come in the same podcast feed, so just subscribe to HibsTalk, and I'll not steal Craig's job for this, but they'll all be in the same place.
It's fine.
Amazing.
I'll be putting this intro at the start, mate. So
perfect.
Gav, listen, thanks very much for 1, giving us the platform to do this, also, and 2, for coming on. You know, it's nice for you to come on and give your opinions and not have to worry about getting edited and uploaded and that. So thanks very much for coming on.
Appreciate
Thank you, Gav, mate.
Thanks, mate. I've enjoyed it.
Till next time, Craig. Missimo. Yes.